welcome to another episode here on Set Life. I am Jake Friels, and this is
Amber Buto.
And we have Chris Worthington, one of my really good friends and co-workers / Jesus-loving dude. Just, we love to hang, talk about the Lord, but make movies and all kinds of fun stuff. So, man, so glad you're here, Chris.
Yeah, great to be here, seriously.
Yeah. So we have been working on a project together for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
And so that's been super fun. But we want to hear your story. Like, how'd you get into making movies? We know you've been making them on nearly your whole life, but tell us that. How did you get into this?
Yeah, so I'd say I had it was like one of those cameras when I was probably 5 years old that took a cassette. And I would be in my backyard just filming, kind of funny videos, and then putting it onto a computer, digitizing it, and using Windows Movie Maker. And that was kind of the start of it. And I would watch it back, and I'd realize how fun that was. And then from there, I went to middle school. It was in the 7th grade. I had a teacher, Mr. Duncan. I'll never forget. And he was like an animator for like Pixar and the NFL and everything. And it was a claymation class. And I was so fascinated by it. And that really started everything in that 7th grade class, not gonna lie. It was like that class.
Wow.
And yeah.
Thanks.
Wow.
Thanks, Mr. Duncan.
Yep.
Just saying thank you for the inspiration. Yeah.
Yeah, and that really kicked it off. And I started with claymation, and then bought a GoPro.
Okay.
It was a GoPro Hero 2. It was the second version ever back in 2012.
Yep.
And just make fun videos with it. And I've just had a kind of an obsession with film.
Yeah.
Yeah, my whole life.
What was your inspiration, as you began to figure out, man, you love this. This is incredible. What began to be your inspiration to why you did it? Who are you trying to emulate, or, who'd you look up to in the industry and all those kinds of things?
Yeah, so I would say, to preface everything about the Christian films at least, because I never really made anything secular. It's all Christian. I had a crazy encounter with Jesus on November 22nd, 2013 at a Hillsong United concert that I was tricked into going to. And I didn't think Jesus was real. I was suicidally depressed. I had no reason to live. I would wake up every day and there was this emptiness right here. And I'd want to go back to sleep every time I woke up, because when I was sleeping, I wouldn't feel the emptiness. Anyways, I went to this concert and the band came on the stage and they started singing these worship songs. And I remember feeling within 30 minutes of the concert that I felt at home for the first time in my life. Yeah. Like I was at home, and I was in an arena with 20,000 people.
Yep.
And I was like, wait, what is this? So I thought, is it the band? Is it Hillsong United? Like what's going on here? And then I started realizing, wait, they're singing about this man, Jesus. And it was that night at that concert that I had a crazy encounter. And the best way that I know how to describe it is, it was as though Jesus walked up to me. He stopped, he looked down into my soul, and he made eye contact with the suicidal spirit inside of me. And the suicidal spirit was so terrified that the Son of God was looking at it, that it committed suicide instantly, and I was set free. And it literally felt like 50 pounds came off my shoulders. And from that moment forward, I knew Jesus was real.
Wow.
And I was like, I gotta live my life full out for him.
Yeah.
And then I had already loved film my whole life. And now it's like, oh my gosh, Jesus is actually real. Let's combine them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
That's such a beautiful picture of you recognizing a purpose for your gift.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? It's like here you had been given this God-given gift, and those that aren't in faith media or anything, we'll talk a lot about how everybody that's come on the show pretty much has some young phase of their life. They're like, I can remember having a camera, I can remember directing, I can remember back, right?
Yep.
That gift was put in you, like in your purpose, in the birth of you, in the creation of you. It was like in you, and it was just how do you foster that and how do you find purpose for that gift? And that's so cool to hear about your story,
So, you have your encounter with the Lord, and then you have a first opportunity to make your first movie. How did that come about?
Yeah, so a lot of people ask me, they say like, how do you start? And my answer is just start. Like,
Yeah.
just do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like,
So
I
true.
think if you're asking that question, like, there's something wrong already.
Yep.
Go
Yeah.
for it.
Yep.
Just do it. I had no money. I had a camera I bought at Best Buy, and I just started emailing people that I thought would fit in a movie that I believe the Lord told me to make about knowing Jesus. It was called This Is Living.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember my first interview was with a guy named Leslie Hale, actually. They call him the Irish preacher. And I was so nervous. Oh my gosh. He had like all of his like deacons and stuff because they were like interrogating me before it.
Oh my gosh.
Because they're like, they wanted to know if I was legit.
Right.
And this is old school stuff. All these guys are like 70 plus. And I'm in this room and they're all surrounding me. And anyways, yeah, I interviewed him. And then from there, I interviewed Eric Gilmore, you know Eric.
Yep.
And then Daniel Kolenda, Todd White, and then I just got connected, and then yeah, the film just kind of came together. And that film, really, the Lord told me what I had experienced with him the day that I got saved was that I met him. So I'm like, well, let's make a movie about knowing Jesus.
Yeah.
So that's what the film was about, and I figured the best way to do that would be to interview people who know him.
Yep.
Yeah, but yeah, I just started.
Yeah.
And I would recommend anyone who wants to do this, just start. Just go for it.
Yeah.
And do the best that you possibly can.
Yeah.
And that's what leads to all the successes that you're having now.
Right.
Like the biggest hurdle you'll hear all the time is just starting. So Dan, who helps DP this show and run the show and everything, shout out to Dan. Thank you. You do an amazing
Yeah.
job.
Dan the man.
Dan Scheider, Yelly, everybody here does such a great job. But we're doing a talk, and it's about podcasting and how to do video podcasting and audio podcasting and all these kind of things. The very, very end, we have a slide that just says, but you just need to start. No one's perfect.
Yeah.
And then we show our blooper reels. Because I mean, seriously, you know, when cameras are rolling now, we're trying to be on our best behavior here right
Yeah.
now.
Oh, yeah.
Let that stop, and we're just messes, right? We're all just
Yeah.
fun, and nothing's perfect. And at the end of the day, it's just tape,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just tape. You can always redo.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's no reason why you can't restart, and we've had to do that here multiple times and stuff like that. So enjoy the process, believe in yourself, trust in what you have in your hand, whatever that is.
Yep.
Like, that's
Whatever
the other
it
thing.
is.
Whatever
You
it is.
didn't have like a crazy big camera, anything like that. You just started with the camera you had.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. And my personality type too is like, I just want to do things. Like, I just want to go. It's just the way that I'm wired. It's the way my mom is too. It might be the Greek too.
Yep.
Yeah, probably is.
It's the souvlaki.
It's the souvlaki and the tzatziki sauce. Yeah.
The tzatziki. Come on.
The tzatziki. But yeah, even before I had that encounter with Christ, that's just the way that I was. Like, I was always trying to endeavor on something, and I ended up discovering whatever I endeavored on left me empty. And I was like, wow. If life is meeting the status quo and dying, I don't want that. So I'm really glad that I met Jesus.
Yeah.
He's the only reason for living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's literally it.
Which is
That's it.
Which is what your new show will be called. This is. I mean, your last one was This Is Living, and then your new one is Closer Than You Know.
Yeah, closer than you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's all about Jesus at the end, and now
It's all about Jesus at the end of the day.
we're working on Multiplied, which
Yep.
is multiplying Jesus across the earth. So
Yeah.
bottom line,
It all
is,
points to him.
It all points to him.
Yeah.
Which is a cool like how you transgressed into where you are now in the film that you're doing now. So you went and interviewed all these people, just called, I hope y'all heard, he just called people he thought and asked for this opportunity, you know, just by starting with what he had and called and asked. So you did that. You went and interviewed, you made this, and because of that, put you in a place of new opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's really biblical too. I mean, it's like you go, and then he gives you the power.
Yeah.
But if you sit back, he's going to be like, what are you doing? Get
Yeah.
up.
Yep.
Yeah.
What did Reinhard Bonnke say? It was, God moves with movers and he works with workers, but he doesn't sit with sitters.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite Reinhard Bonnke quotes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in that movement, you met Daniel, right? And after doing the film, you met a bunch of them. But what spurred the next film? What happened after the first film what did the first film do? And then how did you get to the second one?
Yeah, so the first one, we were on Prime Video, and funny enough, I made it to actually burn on DVDs and hand out to people on the street. Literally, that was I didn't want to make a penny, nothing. And then I discovered that like I could get it on streaming platforms, so we got it on Prime Video, and it was making money, and I realized, wait a second, maybe I could fund films with previous films, and we could actually do this. And, we could keep making Jesus movies. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so sorry, what was the question?
Did your phone ring?
Did you
get a phone call?
It's the classic.
Is this why we say your phone should be offset? But that's okay.
Yeah. It's all
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
No. The question was, when you did your first film, what happened? You put it on Prime Video, made some money from it, and then how did it spur you into Multiplied? Yeah.
Yeah, so I was looking for another film to make, and I would say when Billy Graham passed away, Billy Graham was very important to me. Like he's the only person I've ever cried over when he died that I didn't know. Like literally, because he was like so important. I would watch him every day, and when he died, it was like, I don't know. I was like, who's the next generation now?
Yeah.
And then Reinhard Bonnke died on December 7th, 2019, just before the send.
Yep.
And I just had this thought of, what does the future of evangelism look like with these giants of the faith gone? And it's like, what are we going to do now? And so I had spoken with Daniel Kolenda, and Daniel had put this kind of idea in my mind. He was like, Chris, what if it's not about another famous evangelist? What if it's about like thousands of evangelists who don't even care if anyone knows their name? Mm-hmm. They don't care about fame. They just want to preach the gospel, just like Jesus said in Mark 16.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Mm-hmm. And then from there, I decided, you know what? Let's try to document this movement. And that's what Daniel decided to do. He decided to raise up thousands of evangelists. And I believe right now there are 1,300 full-time evangelists that do mass gospel crusades around the world. So these aren't crusades these aren't like one-on-one like preaching. This is to a 10,000 person event in the middle of nowhere. This is to 250,000 people. And there's thousands of these people doing that. And this was kind of his vision that he kind of gave to me. And I was like, you know what? Let me document this, and let's just see if something can come out of this, because this sounds historic. It just sounds historic. Like it's something on God's calendar.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. And it's been a movement that's really been happening, but that has struck some fire. So in the passing of Reinhardt, so Multiplied is that. Multiplied the movie is your journey going on this journey to capture this historical movement, this historical movement that's happening, that's coming behind legendary people such as Reinhardt, or Billy Graham, all those guys, and that anointing passing, that mantle passing down.
That's exactly
to
it.
Daniel. And then what is the next generation? What are they going to do? And then how does this generation carry that on? How do they become this massive movement that sweeps the globe with the message? And you took a camera, and multiple other people, both of y'all had went and shot things, and captured some of the most epic footage of a world that I believe so many of us sitting here right now watching this and listening to this have never had the opportunity to see or be a part of.
Yep.
And that's what you do for us. You went asking the question yourself, and all of the faith journey you had and the seas of people, of literally one of them is like, you can't see the end. You cannot see you can see the start because it's at the stage.
Yeah, Daniel.
And from all the way, you can't see the end of the crowd.
Daniel calls them a sea of humanity. It looks like an ocean of people.
Yeah.
You can't see the back of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Literally unbelievable, until you go and basically show it to all of us with cameras and tell us the story and everything they have to go through to do those things, to stand on those stages.
All sorts of stuff you got to go through.
To preach the gospel, from being shot at, to being jailed, to
stuck in a dust storm in West Africa, continent-wide dust storm called Hamatan.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just like again, things you cannot make up or dream up that happen on this journey.
Yep.
But it's a so fun journey. It's so cool what you take us on.
Yeah.
I know whenever it was first shown to me, I was like, oh my gosh, this is mind blowing. I mean, first of all, your talent behind the camera is unbelievable. I mean, you're so gifted in
Yep.
and being able to capture things cinematically with a
Yep.
camera, and your ability to storytell with that is exceptional. So that was right off the bat. You know, it captivates you and catches you right in the beginning, and then your ability to tell that story, and then the story that you're telling, you're like, whoa! I never even knew this existed. This is amazing.
Yeah. I really wanted to make it entertaining. People have told
It
me
is
that yeah. People have told me it's like a secular docu-series that happens to be all about Jesus.
100%.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be unpredictable. I wanted the pacing to be fast. I wanted humor in there. I threw a little bit of sarcasm in there.
It's great.
It's part of my personality.
Love it.
And I just wanted to actually entertain anyone. Even if you're not a Christian, you could watch it and go, oh, this is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
And it's all pointing to Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's the ball we're all holding right now. That's what we're all so excited about and really promoting, and it goes in theaters in March. Which is super exciting. You're going to get to see your work up on the big screen.
Crazy.
Yes.
Crazy.
What a blessing that is. And we're really excited about that, and watching to see how many lives are touched from this. I mean, youth groups around the world are going to absolutely love your style, your voice that you have in this, and the message that you're carrying with it. Because I'm 100% with you.
Yep.
Like, I love Jesus. He's my best friend. But I also don't try to sell my best friend to people. So I like content that's just organically natural.
Yeah, it's
you
natural.
know, you're just so natural in telling us about a world that just happens to be where they deliver the gospel in it. You know,
Exactly. You just said it perfect. Yeah.
and that's what makes this so special. You know, what makes this so special is your delivery of it, your cinematography, you know, how you tell the story in such a real way that it's not pushy, it's not demanding. It's just like, hey, let me introduce you to this. I think when we first met, I was saying how, you know, I don't know anything about NASCAR. You know, that I didn't grow up around it, don't know anything about it. But there was a really great documentary about a NASCAR driver. Mm-hmm. And somebody had told me about it, and I was like, well, I don't really watch NASCAR, so I don't know that it really hit home with me. And they're like, no, really, bro, his life was super cool. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay. And I watched the whole thing, and it was because his story was so great, and the way they told the story was so good, and it let me into a world that I knew nothing about, and I didn't have to know anything about it to follow it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's what you have done for us with Multiplied.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted an audience because honestly, a lot of people in America do not know who Reinhard Bonnke is.
Majority.
Yeah, the majority. So I had to present Reinhard Bonnke to a fullness in a degree, not obviously not the complete fullness, but in a quick way where they could kind of understand him, still in an exciting way. Mm-hmm. And I would say really what's the core of all of this. This whole idea of multiplication, it's really about the proclamation of the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Because if we multiply evangelists for the sake of multiplying evangelists, then it's all in vain.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The message, I think there's a movement attached to this series.
Right.
And if the movement is built on anything other than Jesus, it's going to fall.
Right.
It'll die with us. So it needs to be built on him.
Yeah.
And I believe that'll outlast us. Just like when Reinhard Bonnke passed away, it was like his life was like a seed.
Yep.
Look what happened now.
Yep.
I heard Michael Koulianos actually say, Reinhard Bonnke's ministry kept getting bigger as and it kept moving faster. And when he passed away, it just got even bigger now.
Yeah.
That's God saying, I honor this man.
Yeah.
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 That's what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I believe that's really what this movement is.
And I think too, at the same time, you got all these people that were looking to him constantly still while he's alive. And the second he dies, it even forces you even greater to look at Jesus and going, he was just modeling the way.
Yeah.
He was just a representative of Jesus. And so now I want to run like him. I want to look like, I want to run and look like he did. And so therefore, it's almost even better in a way that people can now shift their focus and look at Jesus only instead of just a man who's just a billboard of what Jesus is doing.
Exactly, yeah.
And so I am thoroughly over the moon about all of this and what's coming. And I got to host Reinhard Bonnke's first ever crusade in America and being a part of that historical, bringing his voice to America. And now I get to bring his face to America.
Yeah.
So it's like, even when you look at big picture things like that, like it's just, your mind's blown, you're like, how are we get to be the ones that tell the story? Like, why do we, why me? Why me? Like, why us? Like, why, other than we just said a simple yes to Jesus,
Yeah.
I mean, it was an opportunity at hand. We had no idea how big the opportunity really was going to become. We just said yes, and we're running and gunning with cameras and, looking up and realizing we're actually we're capturing history in what we were filming, And I think back to the first stadium we went to. Here's the difference. This is a story about that first stadium we went to when we were filming. Kanye West was the headliner, and we went to capture this whole stadium movement, and they built the whole thing around Kanye West. And when Kanye West came, the stadium was nearly full. The second he stepped off stage, it was empty.
That's a perfect example.
Then we go and film down in Brazil to a sold out 3 stadiums, 2 stadiums sold out, third one almost half full, built around Jesus. And when everybody came on stage, no one left. And it was a literal movement that was sweeping Brazil like never before. First ever, this is all on film. You're going to see all of this. First ever sold out stadium in 5.5 hours.
Yeah, faster than U2 and Coldplay.
Soccer,
they're the second now.
Anybody. Yeah. Jesus was made known in Brazil at the highest level. And the hunger and the desperation, we're literally capturing on camera. And we're filming it firsthand. And so, that's what's exciting is getting this. And I remember when I got on the elevator that night, I was like, Jesus, when is this going to come to America? Like, when are we going to see this hunger and desperation in America that would happen? And I think we're at that time, and I think we're in that hunger stage. And instead of one stadium, we're going to be in 25 theaters simultaneous, showing what Jesus can do, will do, and God could do a mass move across every state in America.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. More than 25.
Yeah.
More like 2,500.
Yeah. More than. Yeah.
Did I say 25?
Yes, you
I
did.
meant 2,500.
Yeah.
Sorry. We're only in 25 theaters, guys.
We're only in
Not a big deal.
25.
Chris's face went like, like, nope.
Jake, you said the wrong number. 2,500.
Theaters nationwide.
Nationwide.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, we get to step in and be a part of bringing it to America. Like the question I had 4 years ago. So. The question.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, I think what America, Gen Z, millennial, they just want Jesus.
Yeah.
A 3-point sermon doesn't save anybody. It doesn't. The gospel does. I think the genuine preaching of Jesus Christ, the person Jesus Christ, that's what will flip America upside down. I actually think that. It's not the progressive TikTok fake Jesus.
Yep.
That's a golden calf. Because that is a golden calf that they named Jesus.
Yep.
It's the actual Jesus of the Bible.
Yep.
And fun fact, there's only one Jesus, the Jesus of the Bible.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And but when we give him the Jesus of the Bible, I really think that is what's going to go right to the heart of this next generation, for real.
I agree.
Yeah, it's worked for 2,000 years.
Yeah.
It was God's plan, so.
Still going to be there.
It's still going to be there.
That's exactly right.
And what's so great is in the film, you ask Daniel Kalinda, what is your purpose? What is your purpose? And he says it boils down to one word: multiply.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
And it is so true too, though, when you look at film and you look at movies and you look at content and all of that, and the Lord, when I got called into this industry, or it was a decision to come into the industry, was duplication and multiplication.
Yep.
How do I duplicate and multiply something?
Yep.
And it's through media.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good.
So you're able to duplicate and multiply globally, but stay in the same place with the same purpose and the same calling and the same gifts and the same talents. But now that goes around the world.
Yep.
And that's what you, if we go back to the start of your story of you in that stadium
Yeah.
at the Hillsong Conference, voided, empty, and just voided with emptiness there,
Just empty. Yeah.
to being filled with hope, with a gift you already had. And I
Yeah.
think this is very crucial for people to hear. Whether you're a believer or not a believer, you've been given a gift.
Yep.
Yeah.
You used that gift for many years,
Yeah.
young, and playing around with it and tinkering with
Yeah,
it
just-
and all that. It
yeah.
had no purpose. With your gift with purpose goes around the globe.
That's
And
so good.
it's,
that's
looking at your life is a picture of that. So there is a lot of people in this world that have amazing gifts. It's something I feel super passionate about in this industry, is finding people's gifts, because we all have one, and they're all different, finding their God-given gifts and filling it with purpose,
Yeah.
That's amazing.
so that they can go and do and fulfill their purpose here, and they're not empty and they're not void, and they're full of hope and have purpose, and they're able to take that gifting to exponential levels. It's like getting a car with a really, really old engine in it, or getting the Ferrari engine put into it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it doesn't really matter the frame so much, the engine drives it. So without the massive engine to drive whatever casing you put
Yeah.
on that, it's where we are like that.
Without
we just,
the purpose, you don't have the engine.
you don't
Yeah.
have the engine
Yeah.
to run and gun and do the things and have the visions that you were able to capture. I mean, all three of us could tell crazy God stories of how we're all attached to this film.
Yep.
Is amazing. Obviously Jake's my brother, if y'all didn't get the intro. But Jake going to film the film and calling me and saying, hey, I have an opportunity. And he was young, and I'm like, hey man, let me help you, and sending him to go film it and get his airfare and all that to get him there to do this opportunity to film with you guys. And little did we know back then what we were even doing, to then later how we meet Jason, who's on the team, who's phenomenal, and meeting him together and connecting, just how God connected all of these dots together, to even going further back to the Reinhard Bonnke thing that he brought here. That when I went with him to that, was up there on stage, met everybody with him, Daniel, like everybody.
Did you meet Reinhard?
Yeah.
Really?
And so it's just crazy that, like,
It's a literal full circle.
it is. And you
Can't
know,
make that up.
you can't. So the picture of God knowing the beginning and the end, and then him using our talents that he gave us and
Yeah.
the yeses we're willing to give.
That's it.
And each of us sitting in these chairs all found purpose for our gifts, and we all had a yes to give to him.
Yep.
And that's how things like this, and that's how movements
That's how
are
a
made.
movement, not a movie, but a movement.
Yes, a movement
made.
that is, a movement that
It's God's
started.
hand,
And
you know.
I guarantee you this is, such the midpoint of all of this. I'm so excited to see what this film does. I'm excited to see all the people that come to be a part of this team
Yeah.
that are all going to have God stories of how what God was doing in their life to get them to the place that they are with us, and all of that. And all that's faith growing.
Yeah.
Super exciting. It's just super exciting to be a part of.
Yeah, I could see God's fingerprint on everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. I've been studying the sovereignty of God, actually. And for real, I really believe he's sovereign over everything. Even me talking to you right now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
me knowing everything.
Yeah.
I literally believe it is the actual sovereignty of God.
Yep.
Yeah, which is fantastic.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And he gives us our free will to choose whether we want to follow his sovereign will.
Yeah, yeah.
He'll set it up.
Yeah.
But it's our choice whether or not we want to choose to do it or not. You
Yeah.
know? And it's our yes, and it's our commitment to go, all right, I want to follow you.
Just like we said in the beginning, we just have to start.
That's it.
Yeah.
We just got to start.
Yeah.
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 Start with what you have.
Yep.
Find purpose for your gifts. You know,
100%.
I mean, really find a purpose for the God-given gifts that you've been given. You know, like your story has been such a great picture of. Okay, so multiplied. We have multiplied that multiply. Now, after multiplied, can you tell us there's a little sneak peek of something that you're working on that's maybe to come?
Yeah, so I've been working on an impressionistic documentary. So it's like half narrative, half documentary. It actually takes place mostly in a cyclorama studio. It's called Closer Than You Know, and it's about a messianic paradigm shift. It's really about like the tearing down of strongholds in the mind, and it is very complicated. It's a very complicated script, and it's taken me more than a year and a day. It's taken me like 4 years and a day.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's worth it because I know this needs to be perfect by the time we release it. But yeah, it's a lot of people feel distant from God.
Yeah.
And we're essentially going to tear those things down, why they feel distant from God. And we're just going to reveal them to people. Yeah, I think it'll be really applicable to America.
Yeah.
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 That's
And
awesome.
It's also shot in a sinking sailboat in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
It's pretty epic, actually.
Literally, it was on a shipwrecked sailboat in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
I've been
Yeah.
there, saw it.
Yeah.
It's great. It's incredible. You know, it's going to be another one of those that speaks to your mind, speaks to your heart, you know, but it'll speak to your soul at the end of the day.
Yeah.
and you're fully entertained by it because
Oh, for
the
sure.
cinematography is like,
It's phenomenal.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's wild.
yeah.
Yeah, the visuals are crazy.
And that's
Yeah.
closer than you know, right?
Yep.
Closer than you know. Jesus is closer than you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jesus is closer than you know.
Yeah.
Chris, I mean, I am just so proud of you. I really am. And I'm so thankful that our paths crossed and that,
Same. Seriously.
Yeah.
you know, that you were able to come and sit with Jake and I today and talk. And we talk, are we kidding? We talk almost every day. All of us do now,
Yeah.
working on this project.
Yeah, it's funny seeing you guys face to face. We're always on Zoom calls.
It's so true. It's so true.
And COVID's not even here. What's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, thanks for flying in. I mean, you're
Yeah.
right. Normally we're on Zoom.
Yeah.
And to do this, we really appreciate your time. We appreciate you. And
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. And your
Yeah.
studio is gorgeous.
Thank
Everything
you.
about it, even the lobby, everything
you.
about it's amazing. Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. You know, much like your things, excellence is a bar in which I believe we should hold
Yeah.
Amen.
and really strive for. And the things that we touch shouldn't be just good enough.
Yeah.
They should be something that we are proud of and are
Yeah.
showing the wonderful gifts at their finest with the
Yeah.
purpose that we've been put here for.
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing your story. Love it. Again, if people want to follow you, learn about the movie, learn about other things you've shot, how do we follow you? What does that look like?
Yeah. So I guess number one, you could follow Multiplied Series on Instagram, Facebook, or subscribe to the YouTube channel. Every Nation Will Bow, and yeah, you could find everything right there. And yeah, but if you just follow Multiplied Series, everything's right there. You'll get everything. You'll see them on it too. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can go,
Multipliedmovie.com.
yeah.
Oh yeah, and multipliedmovie.com. Yeah.
Yeah. That's where you'll be able to sign up for newsletters, follow what's happening with the movie,
Yep.
when it's released, how to be involved. You can even be involved in this if
Yeah.
you want to help share it, screen it. You know, we're going to be doing screenings across the country. If you want to get involved in that, we would love for you to reach out on that forum and get in touch with us.
Yep.
Yeah, even at your local church. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, guys, I'm excited.
Here
Big
we
things
go.
coming.
Let's do this thing.
Let's
Yeah.
do it.
So y'all be on the lookout for Multiplied.
Yahtzee.
Yahtzee.
Hey, let's go.
Okay, this is
Classic
their
Jake
thing.
Daniels
This is my world, everybody. Thank you to Multiplied's world.
Let's go.
But multipliedthemovie.com, go find out things there. And we loved having you today. And if you want to be involved, reach out to any of us. Thanks, Chris, so much for being on the show. We really appreciate you being here. And as a special treat for everybody viewing, Chris has agreed to drop the trailer right here after this episode's over. So enjoy the trailer. And until then, we'll see you on Set Life.
Hallelujah!
For some people to stand on a stage in front of 80,000 people in a stadium would be like their life's dream. And again, I don't know why God picked me for this.
What is your purpose?
Wow. I don't think anybody's ever asked me that before. It's one word, and that is multiply.
And I had this one gentleman stop me. He said, I was looking at a CFAN video last night. From my observations, this field is too small.
To answer the question, yes, we have been shot at, we've been bombed, we've been jailed, we've been tear gassed, we've been deported, all for the sake of the gospel. And if you've never had any of that, it's probably because the devil's quite happy with how ineffective you are.
And as you speak,
this is Hamza. He was a Muslim. He's actually been interpreting for us, but today we prayed for a man, and the man began to see.
I do believe that Jesus is the Son of God.
you
Come on,
lost
guys.
your life so I could find it here.
Say Jesus.
Jesus.
I open the door of my heart.
I open the door of my heart.
And I command every devil, get out! Let him go!
Every precious one, a child you died to save.
This is great. Hallelujah.
Jesus, I need you!
Evangelist Reinhard had a dream from Cape Town to Cairo. Arusha is the halfway point from Cape Town to Cairo.